the world of Westeros, few swords carry as much mystique as Dayne, the ancestral blade of House Dayne. Unlike the blackened Valyrian steel of most legendary blades, Dayne stands apart, forged from the heart of a fallen star, its pale white blade said to shine like the morning light. This singular description has sparked countless theories among readers, and one of the most intriguing asks, what if Dayne is not of this world at all? Could this blade be something truly alien, a fragment of cosmic metal with properties unlike anything else in the known world? To explore this theory, we must journey back to the ancient history of the Seven Kingdoms and beyond, to a time before the rise of Valyria and even the First Men, to a period when the very bones of the world were still settling and the skies held secrets long since forgotten. The first clue lies in the very nature of Dayne itself. While Valyrian steel is famed for its unparalleled sharpness and near indestructibility, it is also characterized by its dark rippling patterns, a product of complex forging techniques lost with the doom of Valyria. Yet, Dayne is starkly different. It gleams pale and unblemished, a blade that evokes not darkness, but light. It is described as being as strong and sharp as Valyrian steel, yet with a unique composition that defies the known laws of metallurgy in Martin's world. This discrepancy suggests a material origin that predates the known methods of steel forging, perhaps crafted in a more primordial age, when the forces at play were not merely of this earth, but of the cosmos itself. House Dayne's own words echo this celestial origin. Their seat, Starfall, clings to the edge of the Red Mountains overlooking the summer sea, a fitting location for a house claiming descent from starlight itself. According to their ancient lore, a fallen star crashed into the mountains near where they would later build their castle. It was from this star that the first of their line is said to have forged Dayne. But what if this star was not merely a piece of cosmic debris, but something far stranger? In the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, where dragons, shadowbinders, and the very forces of life and death are given form, it is not impossible to imagine a weapon forged from the remnants of something not just otherworldly, but perhaps even sentient or cursed with an ancient forgotten power. Furthermore, the sword's connection to light and dawn is striking. The Daynes are one of the few houses not defined by the typical heraldic beasts or ancient First Men symbolism, but rather by a celestial motif. A white sword and falling star on a lavender background. This is a family that has not merely claimed to wield a celestial blade, but has woven the image of the heavens into the very fabric of their identity. Could it be that the star which fell at Starfall was more than a simple meteor, but a remnant of some greater, cosmic entity? Perhaps it was a shard of a long-lost world, shattered in the great crucible of space, or a fragment of some unknowable force given physical form as it plummeted to Earth. And then there is the matter of Dayne's keepers, the so-called Sword of the Morning. Unlike the many titles passed through bloodline or political maneuvering, this title is reserved only for the most worthy Dayne, one who embodies the nobility and strength that this ancient blade represents. It is a sacred title, not just a familial honor, but a calling, as if the blade itself demands a particular kind of wielder, someone whose spirit resonates with its otherworldly essence. The very act of choosing a single, worthy warrior to bear this sword hints at a deeper, almost spiritual connection between the blade and its bearer, one that transcends mere bloodline. But if Dayne truly is of extraterrestrial origin, what might this imply about its properties and purpose? Consider the peculiar role it plays in the history of Westeros. Unlike the infamous Valyrian steel blades which are often associated with conquest and bloodshed, Dayne is rarely spoken of as a weapon of domination. It is instead a symbol of purity, light, and honor. The last known wielder, Sir Arthur Dayne, was called the Sword of the Morning, not just for his unmatched skill in battle, but for his legendary sense of honor. A knight remembered even by his enemies as a paragon of chivalry. This distinction hints at a blade that perhaps carries with it an inherent virtue or a purpose greater than mere warfare, as if the star that birthed it once shone with a nobler light. This idea is further reinforced by the mysterious criteria for becoming the Sword of the Morning. It is not enough to simply be born a Dayne or to wield great strength. One must be deemed worthy. This echoes the ancient concept of a weapon that chooses its master, a trope found in many mythologies. In our own world, we see echoes of this in legends like Excalibur, the sword only a true and noble king could draw from the stone, or the Japanese katana, Kusanagi no Tsurugi, a divine blade associated with the emperor's divine right to rule. Dawn, however, carries an even more enigmatic legacy, one not merely tied to rule or conquest, but to the very concept of light itself. What if Dawn's extraterrestrial origin means it is more than just a metal forged into a blade, but a fragment of something sentient, something that once pulsed with the light of a distant star? Could the heart of this fallen star have contained a consciousness, or at the very least a kind of cosmic purpose, one that echoes in the blade's insistence on being wielded by only the most honorable of knights? This idea gains further traction when we consider the nature of light itself in the world of Westeros. Light, fire, and shadow play critical roles in the ongoing struggle between life and death, and between the forces of the Great Other and Relor, the Lord of Light. Consider also the ancient tales of the Long Night, a time when darkness covered the world and the living were pushed to the brink of extinction. In such an era, the arrival of a blade like Dawn, a literal lightbringer forged from the heavens, would be more than just a weapon. It would be a symbol of hope, a sliver of light in the darkest of times. The very name Dawn evokes the breaking of darkness, the first light that cuts through shadow. In this context, it is almost as if the blade itself was meant to play a role in this cosmic struggle, a piece of celestial light gifted to mankind as a counterbalance to the darkness that threatened to consume the world. Moreover, if we entertain the possibility that this star was not merely a piece of rock but a vessel for some form of ancient celestial power, it is worth asking what became of its remnants. Did the Daynes in forging Dawn unlock only a fraction of its potential? Could there still be echoes of this fallen star's power hidden in the deep, shadowed halls of Starfall? Or perhaps in the bloodline of the Daynes themselves? And if so, might this bloodline, touched by starlight, still hold a part of that ancient fire within them? After all, in a world where the blood of dragons and the touch of ice can shape destinies, the idea that a family might carry within them the remnants of a fallen star is not as far-fetched as it first appears. If we follow this line of thinking, it raises intriguing questions about the true nature of the Daynes themselves. Could their ancient lineage be more than just one of noble blood, but also of celestial origin? House Dayne is noted for its distinct features. Many of its members are described as having striking violet eyes, a trait that sets them apart from the darker hues typical of most Dornish houses. This echoes the mysterious, almost otherworldly qualities often attributed to the Valyrians, whose silver hair and purple eyes have sparked endless speculation about their own possible connections to magic or even ancient dragon lords. Could the Daynes, too, have been touched by something beyond human, a star-born lineage that grants them a unique connection to Dawn and perhaps even to the greater cosmic forces at play in Martin's world? This possibility grows even more compelling when we consider the strange and often overlooked connections between Dawn and the myths of Lightbringer, the legendary blade said to have been wielded by Azor Ahai, the hero who ended the Long Night. While Melisandre and others insist that Lightbringer is a blade of fire, the descriptions of Dawn share several key traits with this legendary weapon. Both are associated with light and the breaking of darkness, and both carry immense symbolic weight. Yet, where Lightbringer is often portrayed as a fiery, destructive force, Dawn represents something purer, a light without flame, a blade of morning rather than the harsh, consuming fire of a forge. This distinction is critical. It hints that perhaps Dawn is not simply a version of Lightbringer, but a parallel or even a precursor. A weapon forged not in the fires of human struggle, but in the cold, ancient crucible of the stars themselves. In this sense, Dawn might not just be a sword, but a relic of a time before human history. A shard of cosmic truth bound into a blade. This would explain why it can only be wielded by the worthy, as if the very metal resists being used for base or dishonorable ends. Such a weapon, forged in the cold fires of a falling star, might carry within it a moral essence, a fragment of the cosmic order from which it came. Moreover, the very location of Starfall itself adds another layer to this mystery. Perched at the edge of the Red Mountains, overlooking the summer sea, it is a place as isolated as it is ancient, far from the squabbling of the mainland lords and the ambitions of Valyria. This remoteness, combined with its celestial origins, gives Starfall an almost sacred air, a place where the earthly and the celestial intersect. It is as if the Daynes have, for centuries, acted as guardians not just of a blade, but of a cosmic truth that most of Westeros has long forgotten. Finally, if we consider Dawn as a blade with a purpose beyond mere combat, its potential role in the larger struggle between light and darkness becomes even more significant. As the series moves ever closer to a final reckoning between the living and the dead, the presence of a blade born from a star, a blade of pure light, could be critical. It might even suggest that the true hero of this saga is not simply the one who sits the Iron Throne, but the one who wields the light in the coming darkness. A sword of the morning who rises to meet the long night once more. Yet, if Dawn truly holds this kind of cosmic significance, why has it not played a larger role in the history of Westeros as we know it? The answer may lie in the nature of the blade itself. Unlike the infamous Blackfire or the cunning Poisoner's blade, Dawn is not a sword for every hand. Its very exclusivity, requiring a wielder to be deemed worthy, may be what has kept it from being wielded in countless bloody conflicts or petty power struggles. This is a blade that demands not just strength, but a certain nobility of spirit, a quality that would naturally limit its use in a world so often driven by ambition and betrayal. This brings us back to the idea that Dawn might be more than just a physical weapon. It could be a kind of celestial catalyst, a blade that calls forth a particular kind of warrior, a hero in the truest sense, someone who embodies the light it represents. In this way, the sword itself becomes a kind of cosmic gatekeeper, ensuring that its power is never misused. It is almost as if the blade, forged from the heart of a fallen star, carries within it a fragment of that star's original purpose, a purpose that transcends mere mortal conflict. Consider, too, the timing of its possible emergence in the current timeline. As the winds of winter close in and the specter of a second long night looms over the realms of men, the idea of a sword born of starlight taking up its place in the battle to come feels almost preordained. Could it be that Dawn, long dormant in the halls of Starfall, awaits its true purpose, a role not in the political games of kings and queens, but in the final, desperate struggle against the darkness itself? This theory is further supported by the way the series often ties the fates of families to their ancient sigils and words. House Dayne's symbolism, with its falling star and the title of Sword of the Morning, feels more like a prophecy than a mere family tradition. It is a house defined not by its blood or its land, but by the light it keeps. A light born in the darkness of the cosmos, destined to shine again when the shadows grow long. In this way, the Daynes themselves become something more than just another noble house. They are stewards of a forgotten fire, guardians of a light that might one day save the world. Moreover, if we accept the idea that Dawn is a blade of light, it raises fascinating questions about its relationship to other legendary weapons in the world. Could it be that while the Valyrians forged their steel in fire and blood, the Daynes forged theirs in light and honor? Might this explain why Dawn, unlike Valyrian steel, lacks the dark, smoky ripples and, instead, gleams pure and pale, its light untainted by the cruelty and conquest that shaped the freehold of Valyria? As we draw these threads together, the question becomes not just what Dawn is, but what it represents in the larger tapestry of George R.R. Martin's world. If it is indeed a fragment of a fallen star, it stands as a potent symbol of the cycle of light and darkness, of hope emerging from despair. This fits seamlessly into the broader mythos of A Song of Ice and Fire, a series defined by the clash of opposites: fire and ice, life and death, summer and winter. In this context, Dawn becomes not just a weapon, but a beacon, a reminder that even in the darkest of times a light remains. Yet this light is not without its cost. if we accept the idea that dawn is tied to some greater cosmic purpose, it suggests that the wielders of this blade are, in some sense, bound to the same destiny. They are not merely knights, but guardians of a higher calling, figures destined to stand against the darkness when others falter. It is no coincidence that the greatest of these figures, Sir Arthur Dayne, was known as the Sword of the Morning, a title that evokes not just the breaking of darkness, but the first fragile light that heralds the dawn. Looking forward, one cannot help but wonder if this ancient blade, forged from the heart of a fallen star, will find its way back into the larger struggle that now engulfs the world. Perhaps a new Sword of the Morning will rise, not merely to claim glory on the battlefield, but to stand as a bulwark against the coming darkness, to remind the world of the light that once fell from the heavens. And in this final reckoning, the blade that is dawn might prove to be the key, not simply to victory, but to survival itself. And yet, the true power of dawn may lie not just in its edge, but in the ideals it represents. In a world where darkness seems ever more consuming, where kings and queens claw at each other for power as the dead march from the north, the idea of a pure, untainted light, of a blade that shines without shadow, carries with it a deeper, almost spiritual hope. It is a promise that even in the darkest night, the dawn will come. And perhaps, when the final clash comes, when the White Walkers break upon the world like a winter storm, it will be the blade born of starlight that cuts through their darkness, a final, unyielding beam of hope. After all, in a world as old and as vast as Westeros, where legends and prophecies intertwine, it is the light we return to again and again that stands as the final bastion against the night. And in the hands of a true Sword of the Morning, perhaps this light, forged in the heart of a fallen star, will shine once more, driving back the shadows, if only for a little while.